Welcome to Dear Texas Radio, where we encourage Texans to drop everything and read. Your hostess for today's show is Lori Allen.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Dear Texas Radio, where we do encourage you to drop everything and read, and sometimes drop everything and write. We have some wonderful Texas authors who can give you some good tips and also tell you about the books they're writing and how it can impact your life. For instance, today our guest is Dr. Marva Dixon. She is a professional educator. She's also an advocate for parents, students, and educators, so she may have some very valuable advice for you, and you may be very interested in buying her books at our Texas Authors website. We'll give you that website in just a second. But hello, Dr. Dixon, how are you?
I am doing just wonderful, Lori, and so happy to be a part of this program.
Well, we're glad to have you and so happy that you are a part of Texas Authors. And you've got several books for sale on our online bookstore, and they're nonfiction, and they're full of advice, and there's something about power, the power of the P's. So what's the power behind your writing, Dr. Marva Dixon?
The power behind my writing is that there is nothing in the books that I've written that's just fluff. It's real life experiences or knowledge that does one thing, causes individuals to grow and to help other individuals be successful. And I think probably
we can all use that.
Yes, and it requires that all of the books require that you are supported with a support system. And I think that's so important, particularly if you're an educator or if you're a parent or if you are a student trying to create a positive pathway for yourself.
Well, tell us a little bit about these 5 P's we need to have.
The 5 P's was the first book that I published. I'd done some writing before, and it was the legacy, or it is the legacy that I wanted to leave for the educators that I worked with over 40 years in the field of education as a teacher, as well as an administrator at both the campus and the central office. And what I discovered was that those individuals as educators who failed, who chose to leave the profession, did not leave because they didn't have the expertise that they needed to either teach a course or be a principal. They didn't understand the system. So the power of the 5 Ps, and since it's been published, I've had several people contact me that are not in education and says, this is a book good for everybody. And so the first P is purpose. And I address purpose from 2 perspectives. One is what purpose for which you are placed on this earth for. And that purpose is grounded in principles with an LES. And I try to emphasize that principles and values are not the same thing. And a lot of people believe that values change, but principles don't. Example, if I have one of my principles is justice and fairness. Whenever I see it happening, I can't stand still. I can't not say anything. That second angle of purpose is the job or whatever responsibility that you have. As an educator, you sign a contract to teach something at a certain level with a certain amount of commitment and passion, and so you can't ignore that. The second P is policy. Whether you're in education or whether you are in a business, there are policies and procedures you have to follow. And I will tell you, as a principal, as an administrator, I can't tell you how many teachers who did not know where the policies for the district were or how they related to what they were doing. So that second P is truly important to be successful on your job. And then the third one for educators especially is practice. And it's not just that tell kids to do work and, whether you like it or not. It's about providing instruction to students that's based on best practices, evidence-based, and that has not been something that educators have really thought about. If it worked last year, by golly, it better work this year, no matter how different your students may be. And then the fourth one is people. And I borrowed a term from one of my favorite motivational speakers, Les Brown, and added a little. You ought to surround yourself with OQPs, only quality people. If they don't add value to your life, get them out of your life. And so as an educator, one should not find themselves in isolation, even though educators are probably the most isolated profession. But we have to network. We have to have mentors. We have to have coaches so that we can grow in what we do. And then my last P in the power of the 5 Ps is one that was controversial to my colleagues, particularly those in higher ed. It is prayer. And that prayer is based on the sense of faith. And I'm really looking at that as well from two perspectives. One, teachers, educators need to know what our responsibility is in terms of addressing prayer in schools. We just because we believe in a certain religion, we cannot direct our students to do that. And so understanding your role in terms of the legal ramifications of church, separation of church and school, but probably more personal and passionate for me is that had it not been for my faith and saying that little prayer when I was dealing with an irate parent saying, "Oh, Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable," because sometimes it was difficult. So none of the 5 Ps operate in isolation, and for any profession, one needs to consider those 5 Ps if you want to be successful in your job, because that's how you understand the system and that's how you can be successful. I hope that
Dr.
makes sense.
Oh, it's wonderful, wonderful material. Thank you for sharing that advice with us. We're talking with Dr. Marva Dixon. She is a Texas author. You can find her books and buy them at books.txauthors.com. And I have to tell you, I was just sitting here smiling and nodding my head, Dr. Dixon, because I, too, love Les Brown and his motivational stories and advice. And I agree with you that students change every year. And this technological disruption that we've had with internet and social media that has disrupted so many industries, it's changing the way that students learn and the way that teachers and professors teach, and probably the way that parents parent a little bit. So
Absolutely.
We've all got to stay up to date, and so your
Absolutely.
principles are very timely. Now, I've heard this about prayer, that as long as there are exams, there will be prayers in school. Have you heard that one?
No, I haven't, but I would officially agree because I know for me, before I take an exam, I say a little prayer. I want to make sure I'm successful. And students have that opportunity, and as an administrator, you had the responsibility to ensure you afforded students that opportunity for a moment of silence. But you cannot. And for example, I had a teacher who came to me when I was a principal and wanted to teach Bible study as one of her periods. And as strong as my faith is, I had to say, absolutely not. If you teach about 7 different but I cannot. That did not make sense. All kids are being taught. I just made them offers they couldn't refuse. You either loved me or you didn't, and I really didn't care because we have a responsibility to provide equity and excellence for all kids.
Well, absolutely. And, there are nowadays there are so many quality private faith-based schools where teachers who feel that way could go teach there.
Absolutely.
And parents have that option too. In some cases, sometimes you just can't afford that kind of school. But, that's the great thing about where we live in America, that you have some choices and options, right?
Absolutely. But consider, what often we don't do is, I call it massaging the situation. Before you make that leap, be sure you understand the ramifications all around. Because now I'm an advocate for public schools, and I maybe because that's where I've been all my life. But I have no problems with people having choices. Just don't bring your headaches back to me when your choice wasn't what you thought it was.
I've got to tell you, it's almost every single person in my family, aunts, great aunts, grandmother, mother, father, have somehow taught in public schools. Even my husband worked for a time for the Fort Worth Independent School District in the communications office doing videos. And my dad worked in retail for one of the nation's largest retailers for 37 years. Then, in his 70s, went back and got his master's in education and taught high school history.
I love it. That's called truly being a lifelong learner, and that's what we have to move our students to, that just because you graduate and get an high school diploma, baby, it is not over. There is still much more to learn out there.
Well, we're talking with Dr. Marva Dixon here on Dear Texas Radio, and we're going to take a break to thank our sponsors of this program. You've heard about The Power and the Peas. One of her other books has a very enticing title. It's called Man Up. We'll find out what that's all about when we come back from the break, and we'll ask her some tips on how she gets her books written and what advice she has for writers. Stay with us. Don't go away.
In their 2017 award-winning techno-thriller series, Brakefield and Berkey take you on an engaging journey as cyber good guys duel against cyber assassins using technology, today's weapon of choice. Whether your cyber threat is fighting for your lost identity, struggling with a mutant computer virus, or being outmaneuvered by a digitally enhanced gaming avatar, you will enjoy this book series individually and collectively. EnigmaSeries.com will take you through a doorway into the digital combat of the 21st century.
Dear Texas would like to thank our sponsors. McKinney, Texas has a rich history, one it embraces and loves to share with visitors. Nowhere is this more evident than McKinney's historic downtown with more than 100 eclectic shops and eateries to explore. Situated just 30 miles north of Dallas, McKinney offers the perfect getaway from the urban hustle. For more about McKinney, check out www.visitmckinney.com or call 888-649-8499. The third annual short story contest begins March 1st and runs through July 31st. Enter your short story for a chance at prizes and getting published. To learn more about this annual event, please visit our website at txshorts.com. Dear Texas would like to invite you to the McKinney Square Book Festival on June 3rd, 2017. The event will be held at the Performing Arts Center from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Meet 40-plus Texas authors, many of whom have won awards. Special events will take place during the day, and a special musical guest, Billy Dawson, will perform at 2 p.m. For more information, please visit our website, mckinney.deartexas.info. Wimberley Valley Tourism welcomes people to explore the many fine shops, restaurants, and wineries that make Wimberley special. More at wvtla.com. From concept to casting, recording to post-production, Spoke Media is dedicated to creating a superlative listener experience. www.spokemedia.io. EBG 247, where you can find ebooks galore 24 hours, 7 days a week at ebg247.com. Welcome to Dear Texas Radio, where we encourage Texans to drop everything and read. Your hostess for today's show is Lori Allen.
Thank you for joining us. We are talking with Dr. Marva Dixon. She is an advocate for parents, students, and educators. She's been an educator herself, and as a principal, a teacher, and an administrator for more than 40 years, she told us. She's got a few books for sale at books.textauthors.com that can help all those parents, students, and educators, and even people in the corporate world who just need a little instruction, a little support, a little motivation. Dr. Dixon, tell us about this book called Man Up.
Okay, that is my passion book. It started, let me first say, I'm mother of a male, a young man. He's not a child anymore. But the book focuses on life skills, college and career skills, intended to change the trajectory of what we are now seeing, particularly in terms of our males of color. It is not the man up, let me show you how many muscles I have. It is actually an acronym that stands for Motivating Attitudes that Nurture an Understanding of Your Potential. And the history behind this, my last job title prior to retiring was Executive Director of Innovation and Support. And my superintendent came to me and asked if she was working with a grandparent who had a male child that she was taking care of that was just having difficulty staying in school and, being successful. And so I developed the program at that time called the Man Up Initiative, and talk with that young man and talk with the other administrators and realize that there were lots of males that tended to get in trouble and ended up in the alternative center. And so using research, and I used the research based on a gentleman called Ivory Tolson, called Breaking the Barriers. It was a report commissioned by the Congressional Black Caucus, and it really looked at what are the things within schools that will help our young men be more successful, because many of them were living in single-family homes, what we often term dysfunctional families. But really, if they understood where their potential rests, and then they would understand that within them they had the power and the potential to do anything that they wanted to do. And so upon my retirement, I decided this book needs to be in every school, in every organization that has an interest of making sure we create opportunities for our young men to deal with life. Somehow or another, we think they're just supposed to learn these life skills by osmosis. It doesn't happen that way. And so this program, the Man Up Institute Guide, is actually a curriculum guide that can be used in a church, in a school, in an organization that you're working with men. It includes 6 specific, what we call modules. One is called The Whole Me, Finding My Voice, their interests, talents, and learning styles, where you would actually carry a young man through different activities so they can know where their strengths and what areas they need to work on. Interestingly, when we took 47 young men through this program when I was in the district, and I see some of them now having retired, and it made a difference in their life. The second one is called Aiming for Success. So we talk about what does it take to go to college, or what does it take to be prepared to be successful in a career. The third module is The Healthy Me, and it addresses strategies individuals can use to work with young men. Men and women are different. We do think they're different. The book Men are from Mars and Women are from Venus, or vice versa. It truly is. And there are certain foods that, depending upon where you live and depending upon the makeup of your family, that you need to stay away from. And so we had them to experiment with that. The fourth one is called personal safety tools, including safety when you're working on the internet. And the last one is called the model man, and it addresses what do you say, how do you deal with interviewing skills, whether you're out of high school or not. One of the passions that I have about the book is I did the research, but the actual presentations, the book contains PowerPoints that organizations or schools can use and modify for their own needs. But each of the chapters are written not by mama, even though particularly for African American males, mama often is the head of the household. That's changing, but that's for the most part true. But men in those areas wrote those sections of the book so that they were hearing not from a female but a male, for which many of them did not have present in their home. The program also includes sections for teachers. So what we found out when we did it within our school district is that we didn't have opportunities for the teachers to follow up on those young men when they came back to class, when they were walking around saying, I know what to It is. It's also aligned to the My Brother's Keepers program. So anybody who's getting funding for that, this is the perfect resource for you.
What does your son think of it, Dr. Marva Dixon?
Actually, my son wrote the Module 6, The Model Man. He loves it, and he has a copy, even though he's in the book, he has a copy of it, and he refers back to it. So even if you didn't want to institute the whole program, you could, as a parent, for example, if you're having some challenges working with your child, your young man, in one of those particular areas, you could refer back to the book. And at the end of each chapter or module, there's a list of resources beyond the book so that you're not just listening to what I say, but you can research it on the internet.
Well, that's terrific. And we want to tell people, again, you can find that at books.txauthors.com. We're talking with educator Marva Dixon, who's an advocate for parents, students, and other educators. Well, Dr. Dixon, in the time we have left, can you tell us what motivated you to start writing books and how you created the time to make it happen?
Well, I have been writing since the wee years of my life. I wrote for my high school. I wrote in the newspaper a section called Eye on Teens for my high school that highlighted the events that were occurring in my high school. And I've always written poetry. And I kept saying, as soon as I get around to it, I'm going to write a book. And that time, I've written articles. I've had articles published before, but I had never had the time as an educator to write until I retired. And now I am on a roll.
Do you have some other books planned?
Yes, I just had 10 chapters published in a book called Smarter Squared. That is an absolutely awesome book, one of a kind. I collaborated with 28 authors from 12 different countries. And I'm not sure if you know, but most educators out there know that personalized learning, not only within education but in businesses, it's on the cutting edges. And so teachers are being trained on personalized learning, but students haven't been taught how to personalize their learning. So Smarter Squared is a multimedia book that helps students know how to ask your educator, whether you're in high school, middle school, or college. I don't want to do a research paper. I hate typing. Can I create a movie? Can I create a PowerPoint? And so, and it's also a college and career readiness book. And in Texas particularly, it will assist those districts who did not fare well. This is dangerous. Did not fare well on their TEA report card on college and career readiness.
Talk to you and to realize how you're impacting the community, the state, the nation, the world. Thank you for all that you're doing for parents and students and educators.
Well, I want to thank you for having me, and I want to give a shout out, as they would say, and just honor to those people who have made the decision to be an educator. Our children are our future, and they cannot do it without the expertise of professional educators. You're not just a teacher. You're a professional educator. You are certified, bona fide to do something.
And you're changing lives. You really are. Well, we've got to wrap things up, and we just want to say thank you for listening to Dear Texas Radio. I'm Lori Allen. You can find Marva Dixon's books and my books at .txauthors.com. Just go out, drop everything and read, or drop everything and write, and join us at Texas Authors. Thank you.
Dear Texas would like to thank our sponsors. Bourgeois Media and Consulting, a book publishing consultant where creative inspiration is realized. More at bourgeoismedia.com. I'm Alex Anthony, your announcer. For all inquiries regarding voiceover, narration, and announcing services as heard on this program, please make contact through voxluxstudio@gmail.com, voxluxstudio@gmail, or you can call 512-537-6077. Thank you for listening and for your support. Thank you for listening to Dear Texas Radio. To learn more about Dear Texas and its literacy programs, please visit their website at deartexas.info. I'm Alex Anthony, your announcer. Have a great day.